Do you like a walkable downtown? Does date night need to be more than just, dinner and a movie? If so, Denton may be a perfect fit for you, so stay tuned. Hi everyone, my name is Wendy Pinnell and I am a realtor and a broker with On Track Realty. I've been licensed since 2007, so 14 years, going on 15. Real estate is a big part of my life and a big part of our family. And my husband Dale, our daughter Bree, and our son Blake are all part of this whole On Track Realty team, family thing. The thing is, I get to do what I love with the family I love, and I get to help folks just like you. It doesn't get much better than that. On to the subject of Denton, why you might want to call Denton home. Well, the first thing you'll want to know about Denton is some people might call it a college town. Okay, the University of North Texas and Texas Women's University are both located in Denton. So that definitely has an influence on Denton, but I think it would be a mistake to say that it defines Denton, right? So Denton really has, its own identity. What the colleges are a big influence on it, a really great influence, but that's not all Denton is about. Okay, so as you can imagine, Denton is a bustling place, right? You've got 50,000 college students coming in during the school year. The summer tends to be a lot more quiet. The opposite, say, of if you lived in like a tourist town where it might be quiet over the year and really busy in the summer. This is just the opposite, right? It's really bustling during the school year, really quiet during the summer, okay? Some people refer to it as a mini Austin. Again, makes sense because it has, that college feel to it. The population in Denton is right around like 136,000. Tends to call a lot of young professionals there, right? So what place does that remind you of? Well, if you've watched my Irving video, we talked about how the Las Colinas area of Irving also has a lot of young professionals. Well, Denton is like that too, only it doesn't have, just young professionals. It also has college students too. So a young feel to Denton, certainly, not exclusively, but young professionals plus college students. If I were going to give you, let's just say, sum up Denton, here's what you need to know about Denton kind of thing. Honestly, apartmenttherapy.com really put it in good words, so I'm just going to tell you what they said. So how many of you have ever seen the TV show called Cheers? Okay, I know kind of dating myself here, but if you've seen that, it's like a show about a bar, and everybody goes in there. Well, Apartment Therapy said that Cheers, that Denton is like Cheers, a small city where everybody knows your name. Okay, yeah, I know those of you who've never seen that show, I've just lost you. That's okay. So anyway, so that kind of implies like a familiarity, a kinship within Denton, right? And so that kind of flies in the face of a transient city, which is what you'd see like maybe with a college town where people, students coming in and out. So, obviously that kind of speaks to what I said earlier. Denton really does have its own identity. It's not just a college town, but it's definitely influenced by being a college town, okay? So people in Denton really like where they live, okay? You'll find bumper stickers, that say, I love Denton, I heart Denton. People wear t-shirts about how much they love Denton. Another thing that Apartment Therapy said about them is they said that Denton has, and this is all completely true, that Denton has a thriving downtown, a thriving arts theme, and a thriving music presence, okay? Those are all very true things, accurate descriptions of Denton. So, have I piqued your attention? Denton's sounding pretty awesome, right? All right, well that's great because in this video, I'm gonna tell you 6 reasons I think you'll love Denton and 2 things that you may not love about Denton, things that may be kind of a thumbs downer, reasons Denton doesn't work for you, okay? So, let's talk about that. The first reason, are you ready, is do you like horses? Okay, are you into kind of the cowboy southwestern thing with horses? Because if so, Denton could be a really good fit for you. Every year, Denton has the North Texas Fair and Rodeo, which is like a much anticipated, event of the year where obviously, they have the rodeo contests, they have like carnival events, they have concerts, and of course they have food, right? You gotta have amazing food, right? So that rodeo, it's just a really big, much anticipated event in Denton, right? They also have a lot of equestrian farms kind of surrounding Denton, right? And this is a real perk. They have a lot of just riding land, right? So if you're really a horse lover, you want to get out there, you want to ride your horses, equestrian farms, the rodeo, number 1 reason right there, you're going to love Denton. Okay, but moving on to reason number 2, and this one is a really big one. Denton has it going on with musical events, okay? Tons of festivals in Denton. You know, they have the 35 Denton, they have the Denton Arts and Jazz Festival, which, by the way, okay, I love this. It's very cool. First of all, it's very highly anticipated, just like the rodeo. Okay, but the really cool thing about this is it's completely free. All right, free to get in, so you can enjoy all this arts and jazz exposure, but you don't have to pay for it. However, they do, you know, have the concession stand, that kind of thing. Well, guess what? All of the proceeds that come from that concessions, okay, are donated to local arts and music organizations. So I love that. So free and also a good cause. So very much cool. Denton Art and Jazz Festival, really great. They also have the Denton Bluegrass Festival. They have the Redbud Festival. So are you kind of getting the idea here that there's a lot of instrumental bluegrass, jazz type of music in Denton? Okay, well, there's a reason for that, okay? UNT was the very first, okay, in the nation to establish a jazz study, sort of majorish thing going on at their college, right? And so again, kind of talking about that college influence that has brought in, you know, this exposure of music all throughout Denton, right? Jazz, bluegrass. Okay, another cool thing about this, right? A lot of it's free. You can't complain about free, right? In fact, they have the Twilight Tunes on the square every Thursday evening at the courthouse lawn. Completely free, right? Plus, there's just a lot of musical events at the college. This all makes sense, right? From UNT being a major hub for musicians and music, right? So anyway, so just a really cool reason number 2, if you like musical events, you know, of all different kinds, jazz, bluegrass, so on, great reason that you're gonna love Denton, right? Okay, third reason that you're gonna love Denton, I think it's a really great place, is they have a lot of community events, community involvement. Okay, and again, this kind of shows you how Denton has its own identity, because you might tend to think, well, you know, a college town would be kind of transient with a lot of come and go, right? But that's not necessarily the case in Denton. I mean, they do have that. That is a part of Denton, but they've got this strong community involvement, camaraderie, pride in the community, a lot of community events, okay? So, you know, one example of that is they have the Denton Community Market, you know, that opens in the spring and runs until fall. So kind of a community market thing. This one's kind of funny. In the autumn, in the fall, right, they have the Day of the Dead Festival where they have coffin races, okay? Coffin races, that's really bizarre. Anyway, just another thing that they have. In the winter, they have the Wassail Weekend where you can literally go throughout the town and have like cider tastings, right? So it's kind of a cool, you know, individual thing about Denton. And they also have a big holiday lighting festival at the county courthouse, you know. And speaking of the county courthouse, the county square, I'm gonna move on here to number 4 reason of why you're gonna love Denton, okay? And that is the Denton Square, okay? Denton's downtown is called the Denton Square, and it's kind of based all around the big Denton County Courthouse. So the Denton County Courthouse is the oldest building in Denton, built in 1896, okay? So yeah, pretty mega old, okay? But cool thing is in 1986, okay, they took on this big restoration of the courthouse, right? And it was such a success, and just so many people loved it so much that they went on to renovate the entire area, okay? So now you have this beautiful square, you know, and the big attraction, of course, is the courthouse, you know, fully renovated, but also, so they turned all of this extra area around the square and in the square into a retail area, and guess who came in? Guess what proprietors came in? Well, tons of small businesses. Yes, small businesses. So excellent for small businesses. Now, if you've watched my Grapevine video, this is probably sounding familiar, okay? Lots of similarities there between Denton and Grapevine, because Grapevine also has this really cool downtown area that favors small businesses. And you know, it's not just everywhere that you can successfully run a small business. In fact, you know, I did a video talking about Frisco and why you might want to think twice about Frisco. And in that, I said, you know, it's kind of crowding out the small businesses in Frisco. You got a lot of the bigger, you know, big box stores. Maybe you're not as successful in small businesses there. Okay. But if small business is your thing, Denton and Grapevine, right? Excellent places where you're going to see that small business community thrive. So, you know, Denton, that whole square really encourages, you know, entrepreneurship, small business, right? Community involvement. So it's definitely a reason to love Denton. You know what? They, like I said, they have the Twilight Tunes. So they just have a lot of activities around there also. free music, Twilight tunes, Thursday night. So I just think it's interesting how just this renovation of the Courthouse Square and all of this small business has just generated this, I don't know, this sense of community connectedness in Denton, which I think is really nice. Okay, so I've given you 4 reasons, right, for why you might really like Denton. You know, we talked about how it's got that equestrian flavor to it with the rodeo and the horses, you know. Second thing is it's got great music, right? Great music events. You know, so in that case, like, you know, I don't want just dinner and a movie on date night. I want music. Great fit in Denton, right? You know, number 3 is community involvement. A lot of community involvement in Denton. You know, and then number 4 is that awesome Courthouse Square, right? Where you can go and you can do your shopping. You can meet all of the little mom and pop stores, small business success. I love that. So if I've kind of sold you on that, it might be at this point that you're wondering, hey, Wendy, what about houses? Can I even find what I like in Denton? What kind of houses do you have? Am I going to let, you know, new construction? Okay, what am I going to find in Denton? Okay, so that's a very good question. And number 5 of why I think you're going to like Denton is there is a really wide variety of homes, kind of like you would say, you know, something for everyone, whatever style you like, okay? So a little history on housing here. You really see a lot of the housing starting like in 1970. But the cool thing about Denton, and again, this is something that I've talked about in a lot of my videos, we compare whether an area is landlocked or not landlocked. Well, Denton kind of grew consistently, but not explosively, right? Okay, so we've talked about, let's think about this. So we had Watauga, Arlington, Cedar Hill, Duncanville, right? That grew exclusively, and then they were landlocked, right? So, and in those cities, you can expect kind of a certain style of home based on the era when the area became landlocked, right? So Arlington, you know, mostly 70s and 80s. Cedar Hill, mostly like 90s to 2000s, right? So kind of matching with when they became landlocked, okay? But then you have these other cities that have continued to grow, and right now, and so Denton is one of those. We talked about how, right, Grand Prairie is like that, okay? Consistently still has new construction because it grew at a more tempered pace. Denton is like that too. Now, Denton is growing very quickly, but it does still have new construction options for you. So, you know, in Denton, you're gonna find everything from like a vintage home all the way up to like a master plan subdivision, okay? So something for everyone there in Denton. Also, you're gonna find everything from affordable, you know, maybe older homes to the brand new with the bells and whistles, which is what you're gonna find in those master plan communities, okay? So, you know, kind of cool there about Denton. It's not just all about rentals, right, for the college students. There's actually a wide variety of housing, and probably honestly something that you can find that will work for you there. Okay, so if you liked reasons 1 through 4, and reason number 5 tells you that you'll probably be able to find a house you like, a nice little home, right? You're gonna like also reason number 6, which is that education, pretty dang good in Denton, okay? The high schools, the public schools in Denton have an A- on niche.com, so that's not bad. I mean, you know, when we can get an A+, right? But A- is nothing bad either. Also, just it's a college town, right? So you've got higher education. You've got a lot of opportunities with higher education. You have UNT and TWU right there, right within Denton, right? Okay, so overall you have, you know, an educated population in Denton. Almost 40% of adults have a bachelor's degree, right? So have you ever filled out one of those forms where it's like, you know, how much education did you get, you know, and it'll say like high school, you know, some college, you know, bachelor's degree. Almost 40% of the people in Denton have a bachelor's degree. I mean, that's impressive, okay? So overall, you just got a town that's kind of got, you know, a nice big focus on being well educated. I don't know if you were keeping count, but that was number 6, okay, of why you're gonna love Denton. All right, so now I've got to realistically kind of turn the corner here, give you some reasons for why you might not like Denton, okay? Because, you know, we got to be realistic here. Okay, so 2 reasons Denton may not be an ideal, perfect fit for you, you know, may not be something you like. You know, the first one is it's kind of a long commute. It's up in that northern end. If you work like in downtown Dallas, for example, it's like a 49-minute drive, right? So that may be realistically a deal killer for a lot of people. If you work in downtown Fort Worth, it's a 40-minute drive, right? I mean, that's better than Dallas, but still 40 minutes, not so great. But guess what? You know, we've talked again about Irving. We know Las Colinas has this huge business exposure there. Well, your commute to Las Colinas is only 30 minutes. So, you know, if you've liked everything you've heard so far about Denton and, you know, your workplace is in Las Colinas, boom, that might be great for you. That's only a 30-minute commute, okay? So overall, maybe not the best ideal for commute unless, you know, you're working in Las Colinas. 30 minutes isn't horrible, okay? All right, second reason that it may not be just a perfect fit for you, but I think you really need to give this one some thought, okay, is that it doesn't have a high ownership rate, okay? So yeah, you know what, in Denton itself, it's a college town, it only has a 49% home ownership rate. Now, what does that mean though? It makes sense that it's a college town, right? That part makes sense. However, I think there are definitely pockets like this, okay, where you can find a high home ownership, community neighborhood, right? And why does that matter? We talked about this in my Grapevine video, how it's just kind of cool when you have a high home ownership rate, there's less transient, okay? You can put down deep roots, get to know your neighbors, right? Because when you own your home, you tend to stick around a little bit longer, right? Okay, so, and we talked about how that was so ideal in Grapevine, but in Denton, that's not that way. So where else have we seen this? Well, Irving was that way too, where it didn't have a high ownership rate. So I think here though, it's justifiable. It doesn't mean necessarily that it's a bad thing because yeah, you've got your college segment, which they're definitely not gonna own, right? But again, you just got to go neighborhood by neighborhood, because there are probably neighborhoods that have a strong sense of home ownership in them. It's again just Denton having that college influence, but that's not its entire identity. Does that make sense, right? So number two, I think, yeah, some people could see that as a downer, but I don't think that it necessarily is. Okay, so there you have it, right? I've given you 6 reasons you're gonna love Denton and 2 reasons you might not. Okay, so what do you think? I think Denton could be a good fit for a lot of people. Suppose you thrive on nightlife. You'll find your niche in Denton. Or suppose you love arts, music, and culture, but putting down deep roots is important to you too. Well, Denton could be a good fit for you there too, right? So I think the big thing is with the right realtor and the right tools, you really can find a fantastic place in Denton, right? Okay, but that's what I think. What matters here is what do you think, okay? Does Denton get the thumbs up for you or the thumbs down, right? Okay, so if it reasonably fits, we need to go take a look. But while we're waiting for you to get here, go ahead and check out the description section of this video, right? You're gonna find our Let's Find Home questionnaire. Fill that out and we can get started in finding the perfect home for you. And listen, if you want to get acquainted in a more personal way, read our bios, that kind of thing, drop on over to our website. Are you ready? Here it is, www.myontrackrealty.com. Okay, so go ahead and come on over there. You can see our pictures, our bios, that kind of thing. And listen, just if you found this information helpful, right? If this video helped you get to know Denton better, hop on over to my YouTube channel, okay? Let's get acquainted there, right? You're gonna find a lot more videos just like this one. And of course, while you're there, listen, hit the subscribe button, click on that little bell, right? Remember, we have in On Track Realty, we have a fantastic, organized family business, 14 years of real estate experience under our belt. You know what? And we're ready to help you find your place in Texas. So let's talk. And in the meantime, listen, thank you so much again for watching and have a great day.